The battlefield was silent after the storm of war. Smoke curled into the dark sky, carrying the scent of metal, ash, and blood. Fires burned in the wreckage of broken ships. Craters dotted the ground, each one marking the place where energy blasts had torn through the soil. Once this land had been a green valley, but now it was only ruin. Captain Elias Ward stepped carefully through the wreckage. His boots crunched on the glassy ground where heat had melted stone. His armor was battered, his energy rifle nearly empty, but his mind was sharp. He had survived battles worse than this, though not by much. He was one of the few human warriors still moving after the clash between the Earth Alliance forces and the Ziyari Empire. Most soldiers, human and alien alike, lay motionless, scattered across the valley. Elias kept his weapon raised. Survivors could mean danger, ambush, or unfinished business. But as he moved past the ruins of a fallen transport, he heard something faint, a sound that did not belong to the dying fires or broken machines. It was a voice, weak, almost gone, but still there. He stopped, narrowing his eyes. It came again, a whisper broken by pain. He followed it. Around a shattered piece of alien metal, he saw her. A figure lay among the rubble, dressed in the ceremonial armor of the Ziyari Royal Guard. Her pale silver skin was stained with blood. A broken crown rested against her forehead, cracked but still shining faintly. Even in her state, there was no mistaking who she was. Princess Serenia, daughter of the Ziyari Emperor. Elias froze. The princess was more than just royalty. She was the symbol of Ziyari pride, the one their people claimed was chosen by destiny itself. He had seen her face on enemy transmissions, speaking about the greatness of her empire and the weakness of humankind. Soldiers whispered stories of her presence at the front lines, though no one expected to find her broken and bleeding here. She coughed, her chest struggling to rise. Her eyes fluttered open, glowing faintly with the strange light of her species. They focused on him, and for a moment she tried to push herself up, but her strength was gone. "You," she rasped. "Human." Elias raised his rifle out of instinct. Here lay the enemy, the daughter of the man who had ordered countless strikes against Earth. He should end it now. And yet, he lowered the weapon slowly. Something inside him, something buried deeper than orders and hatred, would not let him pull the trigger. She was dying. That much was clear. Deep cuts marked her side and energy burns scarred her chest. Her breathing was shallow, too weak to last much longer. He knelt beside her, watching as her fingers trembled against the ground. For all her empire's talk of strength, she looked fragile, almost small. "Why are you still alive?" Elias muttered, though the question was really for himself. She coughed again. "Leave me. Human, finish it. Or leave." But Elias did neither. Instead, he looked at her wounds, his soldier's mind calculating. No field kit would save her. Her blood was spilling too quickly. No medicine he carried would work on alien physiology, and yet... He remembered the words of a field medic. "Our nanocytes are made to repair anything. They adapt, they survive. They work on us because they recognize our DNA, but who knows what they might do in others." It was madness. Giving human blood to an alien? It had never been done, at least not that Elias knew. But something inside him whispered to try. He looked at her again. She was fading fast. If he left her, she would die within minutes. And if he helped her? He gritted his teeth. "Don't make me regret this," he muttered. Her gaze flickered to him, too weak to argue. Elias took out his survival kit. With rough hands, he strapped a tube to his own arm and forced it into a crude transfusion line. The other end he pressed against one of her wounds, letting his blood flow into her. At first, nothing happened. The blood slipped into her system and she barely stirred. Elias thought he was wasting precious minutes. Then her body twitched. Her eyes snapped open wider. Her breathing grew harsher, almost like her lungs were fighting against something. He grabbed her shoulder, ready to stop the flow if needed, but instead of failing, her body began to stabilize. The bleeding slowed. Her pale skin flushed faintly with color. The burns across her chest seemed to cool, their angry glow dimming. Her fingers, once limp, curled into the dirt with sudden strength. Elias's heart pounded. What in the world? The nanocytes in his blood were not just repairing, they were adapting. They were learning her body as if rewriting her biology to match their own survival instinct. Serenia's lips parted. Her voice, though weak, carried more strength than before. "What did you do?" she whispered. "I saved your life. Elias said, though the words felt heavy. Her glowing eyes locked on him. There was confusion there and disbelief. You gave your blood? Yes. She closed her eyes, her chest rising more steadily now. For a moment, Elias thought she had fallen into unconsciousness, but then a single word escaped her lips. Why? Elias did not answer right away. His gaze drifted to the ruins around them, to the bodies of soldiers, human and alien, who had followed orders, fought, and died. He thought of the endless war, of the hate passed down like a torch. Finally, he said, "Because leaving you there didn't feel right." Silence hung between them. Serenia said nothing more, but the faintest trace of expression crossed her face, something that almost looked like confusion mixed with the hint of gratitude. Elias leaned back, pulling the crude line from his arm. His own head felt light from blood loss, but he steadied himself. He had done the unthinkable. He had saved the life of his enemy's princess, and deep down he knew this choice would not remain a secret forever. Somehow, some way, it would change everything. The night passed slowly on the ruined battlefield. Fires still glowed faintly and smoke drifted across the land like heavy fog. Captain Elias Ward sat against a broken slab of alien metal, his rifle resting across his knees. His eyes were tired, but his mind remained sharp. Beside him, Princess Serenia lay wrapped in part of his emergency cloak. Hours ago she had been dying. Now after the transfusion she breathed with more strength, though her face was pale. Elias watched her carefully. He had saved her life, yes, but he did not know what would happen next. She was still his enemy. If she woke with strength, would she try to kill him? Would she call her people? Or would she even believe what he had done? For now she slept. Elias leaned his head back and closed his eyes. His body was weak from blood loss. He could not afford to stay still too long. Both humans and Zyari patrols might return to search the battlefield. If either side found him with their enemy's princess, they would not ask questions before attacking. A sound broke the silence. He opened his eyes sharply. Serenia moved. Her fingers twitched, then her eyes opened slowly. The glow in them was faint but clear, like starlight through smoke. Elias shifted closer, keeping his rifle near but pointed down. "You're awake," he said. His voice was calm, though his heart beat faster. Serenia blinked, staring at him as if trying to place his face. Then memory returned. She touched her chest where her wounds had been. The pain was not gone, but it was less. Her body felt different, stronger, sharper. "You," she whispered. Her voice was weak but steadier than before. "You saved me." Elias did not move. "I did. Why?" she asked again, just as she had before fainting. This time her tone carried more weight. Elias shrugged slightly. "Because I could. Leaving you to die wasn't right." She studied him. The glow of her alien eyes seemed to pierce him, searching for lies. But Elias did not flinch. "You gave your blood," she said slowly. "Human blood into me?" "Yes." She sat up slightly, though her body shook with the effort. She closed her eyes, breathing deeply, testing herself. Strange energy pulsed within her veins. Her wounds were healing faster than she had ever known. Her body, once weak, now felt alive in a way that frightened her. "I can feel it," she murmured. "Something is inside me. Not only my blood, but yours." Elias stayed silent, watching. Her gaze snapped back to him. "Do you understand what you have done? The blood of an enemy mixed with that of the royal line? It is unthinkable." "Maybe," Elias said simply. "But you're alive." She wanted to argue, but her words stopped. Alive. She was alive because of him. Because of a human. For her people, humans were seen as stubborn but fragile. For her father, they were an obstacle to be crushed. But this human, battered and weary, had given a piece of himself to save her. The thought unsettled her. Silence stretched between them, broken only by the distant crackle of fire. Finally, Serenia asked, "What do you want from me?" "Nothing," Elias replied at once. "I didn't do it for reward." She tilted her head. "Then why risk your life? Why give to me when I am your enemy?" Elias hesitated. He searched for the right words. At last he said, "Because sometimes it isn't about enemies or allies. Sometimes it's about doing the right thing." Her eyes narrowed as if she did not believe such a simple answer. Yet her heart stirred because part of her wanted to believe. Before she could respond, Elias stood, scanning the distance. "We can't stay here. Patrols will come soon. If either side finds us, we won't have a chance." Serenia tried to rise but stumbled. Elias caught her arm quickly, steadying her. She stiffened at his touch but did not pull away. Her body was different now. She felt strength flowing through her limbs, but it was raw, unfamiliar. Every heartbeat carried a strange mix of pain and power. She wondered if it was dangerous, if his blood was changing her in ways she could not yet see. "Stay close," Elias said. "We need to move." Together they walked across the ruined valley, keeping to the shadows. The night air was cold, and every sound seemed louder in the silence. As they moved, Serenia asked quietly, "What is your name, human?" "Captain Elias Ward." She repeated it softly, as though testing the sound. "Elias. And you're Princess Serenia," he said. She gave him a sharp look. "You know me?" "Everyone knows you," Elias said. "Your speeches, your battles, your father's pride." He glanced at her. "You're the face of the Zayari Empire." Her expression hardened. "And now you have seen that face broken." Elias shook his head. "No, I've seen someone still fighting to live. That's different." For a moment her steps slowed. His words touched something deep inside her, a part she rarely let herself feel. But she quickly pushed it aside. She could not allow weakness even now. They pressed on until they reached the edge of the valley where rocks formed a natural wall. Elias guided her into a hollow beneath the stones, hidden from view. They rested there, listening for signs of patrols. Hours passed. The night deepened. Serenia closed her eyes, trying to focus on her body. The changes were clear now. Her wounds healed faster than Zayari medicine could explain. Her muscles responded with greater speed. She could hear more, smell more, feel more, and in her veins something pulsed, alive, adaptable. It was not her blood alone. It was his. Her heart beat faster. She turned to Elias, who was sharpening the edge of his combat knife with calm focus. "Your blood is changing me," she said finally. Elias glanced at her. "Yeah, I noticed. You do not fear this?" He shrugged. "Fear doesn't help much. What's done is done. All we can do is see where it leads." She stared at him in disbelief. A human warrior, calm in the face of something so impossible. Her people believed humans were reckless, emotional, easy to control. But Elias Ward was none of these things. For the first time in her life, she felt uncertainty, not about herself, but about what she had been taught. Before she could speak again, a sound echoed across the battlefield. Engines. Voices. Both Elias and Serenia tensed. Patrols. The glow of lights appeared in the distance, sweeping across the ruins. Soldiers moved with weapons raised, scanning for survivors. Elias pulled Serenia deeper into the shadows. His voice was low. "Stay quiet. If they find us, we fight together or we don't survive." Serenia's pulse quickened. The idea of fighting beside a human, her blood mixed with his, was unthinkable. And yet, her body responded eagerly. She wanted to stand, to face danger, to prove that she was not helpless anymore. Her hand brushed the hilt of a fallen blade she had carried since before her injury. She gripped it tightly. Elias saw the determination in her eyes. For a brief second their gazes locked. No words were needed. Together they prepared for what was coming. And deep within Serenia's veins, human blood pulsed stronger, awakening something that neither of them yet understood. The patrol passed close to their hiding place. Light beams swept over the rocks and the sound of alien voices carried in the night. Elias held his breath and kept his hand steady on his rifle. Beside him, Serenia stayed still. Her glowing eyes dimmed as she forced her body into silence. The soldiers moved on, their search taking them deeper into the battlefield. After several tense minutes, the sound of their voices faded into the distance. Elias let out a slow breath. That was close. Serenia relaxed slightly, though her heart still pounded. She had fought battles before, but never like this. Hiding in the dark side by side with a human. It felt strange, unnatural, and yet strangely right. They remained hidden until the sky began to lighten. The fires on the battlefield burned out, leaving only smoke and silence. When the first rays of dawn touched the broken land, Elias stood. "We need to move before they come back," he said. Serenia nodded. Her body ached, but she found she could stand with surprising strength. Each step she took felt different. The wounds that should have left her weak now seemed like faint memories. The blood within her pulsed with a power she had never known. As they walked, Elias noticed her movements. She was faster, steadier, more alert. "You're recovering quickly," he remarked. Serenia glanced at him. "It is more than recovery. I can feel change. My senses are sharper. The world feels clearer. Even the air tastes different, Elias raised an eyebrow. That's the nanocytes. My blood doesn't just heal, it adapts. They're learning your body. She frowned, considering his words. Learning. Or rewriting. He gave a half smile. Maybe both. For a time they walked in silence. The battlefield stretched endlessly around them, filled with wreckage and fallen soldiers. Neither side had won here. Only death had claimed victory. Eventually they reached a ridge where the land dropped into a wide canyon. Across the canyon stood the ruins of an ancient structure, half buried in stone and sand. Its towers were broken, but its walls still glowed faintly with strange patterns of light. Serenia stopped staring at it. Her eyes widened. That is not Zayari. That is older, much older. Elias followed her gaze. You know it? She nodded slowly. The stories speak of a civilization before ours. The Eldari. They vanished long ago, leaving behind ruins across the stars. Few have been found. Fewer still remain intact. Elias studied the glowing walls. Looks like we just found one. Serenia's steps quickened as she moved toward the ruins, almost forgetting her pain. Elias followed, alert for danger. When they reached the entrance, Serenia reached out to touch the glowing symbols. The moment her fingers brushed the stone, the light grew brighter. Lines of energy spread across the wall like veins, pulsing in rhythm with her touch. Elias tightened his grip on his rifle. What did you just do? Serenia stared in wonder. I do not know. The ground trembled faintly. A doorway opened before them, sliding apart with a sound like ancient stone breaking. Inside, a vast chamber glowed with soft blue light. Strange machines stood in silence, untouched for ages. Serenia stepped inside, her eyes wide. Elias followed carefully, scanning the shadows. As they explored, Serenia felt something stirring within her. The nanocytes in her blood pulsed faster, responding to the energy in the ruins. Her body tingled as if drawn to the ancient power. Elias noticed her expression. What's happening? She placed a hand on her chest. Your blood, it reacts. These walls, this energy. It is like they recognize me now. Or perhaps they recognize you through me. They walked deeper into the chamber until they reached a central platform. Symbols covered the floor, glowing faintly. Serenia stepped onto it. The light flared. The machines around them came alive, humming with ancient power. Holographic images appeared. Stars, galaxies, maps of worlds long forgotten. Elias shielded his eyes. What in the world? Serenia's body glowed faintly, her silver skin mixed with the light of the symbols. She gasped as visions filled her mind. Images of the Eldari, their rise and fall, their search for survival. She saw them experimenting with blood, with adaptation, with a power that crossed species. Her knees weakened and she nearly collapsed. Elias caught her before she fell. Serenia. Her eyes snapped open, brighter than before. I saw their history. The Eldari created this place as a test. They searched for blood that could unite, blood that could survive across all races. Elias frowned. And you think that's human blood? She looked at him, her glowing eyes filled with awe and fear. Yes, your blood carries what they sought. Adaptation without end, and now it flows in me. Elias shook his head slowly. That explains why you're changing. Serenia stepped back from him, her heart racing. This is dangerous. If my people learn of this, they will not see it as a gift. They will see it as a weapon. They will try to use it or destroy it. Elias's jaw tightened. The same goes for my people. For a long moment, silence filled the chamber. The light dimmed slowly, leaving only the faint glow of the symbols. Serenia looked at Elias with new eyes. She had been raised to see humans as lesser, as obstacles in her people's path. But this man had saved her life, and his blood now flowed in her veins, unlocking powers even her empire could not imagine. And still he stood calm, weapon steady, not demanding anything in return. Her chest tightened with a feeling she could not name. We cannot let either side know, she said at last. Not yet, Elias nodded. Agreed. Before they could speak further, a distant rumble shook the chamber. The sound of engines echoed through the canyon. Patrols were closing in. Elias's eyes sharpened. They're here. Serenia gripped her blade. For the first time since her injury, she felt no weakness. Instead, her body thrummed with strength. She could sense the soldiers before seeing them, as if her blood itself warned her. Elias noticed her focus. You feel them? Yes, she said quietly. I can sense their movements. I know where they will come. He gave her a look of surprise. That's new. She met his gaze firmly. Your blood has given me more than life. It has given me sight. The rumble grew louder. Shadows moved at the canyon's edge. Elias raised his rifle. Then let's use it. Serenia stepped forward, her eyes glowing bright. For the first time, she felt no fear of her enemies. She felt only resolve. As the patrol entered the ruins, the princess who had once been weak and broken now stood tall, her blade shining in the glow of ancient power. Beside her, the human warrior raised his weapon. Together, they faced the coming storm, and deep within Serenia's blood, the transformation continued. Unseen but unstoppable, something that could change the fate of two empires. The canyon shook with the sound of engines. Soldiers moved through the smoke, their weapons glowing in the half-light. Ziyari patrols had found the ruins, and their steps were steady and sure. They came with purpose, expecting only broken enemies to finish. But what they found waiting inside the ancient chamber was different. Elias crouched behind a broken pillar, his rifle ready. His eyes scanned the shadows, sharp and calculating. Beside him stood Serenia, her blade shining faintly. Her body felt alive, every movement filled with new strength. Her blood, human and Ziyari now mixed, pulsed like fire in her veins. She whispered, "There are 6 soldiers near the entrance, 2 more coming from the left." Elias gave her a quick look. "You're sure?" She nodded firmly. "I can feel them. Their steps, their breath. I know where they move." Elias didn't question her. He simply said, "Then we use it." The first soldier entered the chamber. He raised his weapon, scanning the glowing walls. But before he could call out, Serenia moved. Her body blurred with sudden speed, her blade striking true. The soldier fell without a sound. Elias fired his rifle in the same moment, dropping another before the alarm spread. But the others reacted fast. Shouts echoed through the chamber, and energy blasts lit the air. The fight began. Serenia moved like she had never moved before. Each strike was precise, each step flowing with unnatural grace. Her wounds no longer slowed her. Instead, she felt stronger than she had ever been. Her blade clashed against enemy steel, and sparks flew like lightning. Elias fought beside her, steady and fierce. His rifle cracked again and again, each shot placed with a soldier's focus. When his ammunition ran low, he drew his combat knife, fighting at her side with fearless determination. Together, they cut through the patrol. When the last soldier fell, silence returned. Smoke curled around the broken machines, and the faint hum of the ruins filled the air again. Elias wiped blood from his cheek and lowered his weapon. "You weren't lying," he said, glancing at Serenia. "You really did know where they were." Serenia breathed heavily, her blade dripping faint light. "I felt them before they arrived. It was as if their presence touched my blood. I do not understand it, but it is real." Elias gave a short nod. "Then it's something we can use." She looked at him closely. "You trust me to fight at your side?" He met her glowing eyes without hesitation. "I trust what I've seen." Her chest tightened at his words. She had been raised to expect only obedience from her soldiers, not trust. Yet this human warrior, enemy by blood, spoke to her as an equal. But before she could speak, the sound of another engine shook the air. Not Ziyari this time. Human. Elias tensed. Through the canyon walls came the roar of Alliance dropships. Human soldiers descended, their banners clear. Elias cursed under his breath. "We're trapped between both sides." Serenia's grip tightened on her blade. "Your people will see me as an enemy. Mine will see you as a traitor. Neither will listen." Elias looked at her steadily. "Then we have to choose." They moved out of the ruins, climbing the ridge above the canyon. From there, they saw the two forces gathering. The Ziyari patrol had sent a signal before dying, and reinforcements marched from one side. On the other, human soldiers advanced with weapons raised. Serenia's heart pounded. She could see her father's crest on the Ziyari banners. If she went to them, she could live. She would be carried back to her throne. But she knew what awaited her there. chains of duty, silence of spirit. Her survival would be used as a symbol of strength for the Empire, not as her own choice. Elias stood silent, watching his own people gather. He knew what they would demand. They would see Serenia as leverage, a way to force the Zayari into surrender. They would never understand what had happened, or the changes inside her. To them, she would be nothing but a tool of war. Serenia whispered, "If we go to them, everything will be lost. They will not see what we have seen." Elias's jaw tightened. "You're right." The forces drew closer, surrounding the canyon. Shouts carried on the wind, orders to surrender, to drop weapons, to give up the princess. Serenia turned to Elias, her glowing eyes filled with storm. "What will you choose, human?" He looked at her for a long moment. His rifle hung at his side, his knife still in his hand. He thought of the soldiers he had lost, the orders he had followed, the endless war with no end. Then he thought of her, an enemy who had become something more. Finally, he said, "I choose you." Her breath caught. For a second, she could not speak. The words hit deeper than any blade. "You would turn from your people?" she asked. "I would turn from war," he answered. "If saving you means betraying their orders, then so be it." Serenia felt her chest tighten with something she had never known before. For years, she had been told her destiny was decided by her bloodline. Now her fate was tied to his blood instead, and it gave her freedom. The soldiers on both sides closed in. Weapons glowed, ready to fire. Serenia raised her blade, her voice ringing across the canyon. "I am Princess Serenia of the Zayari. I will not return as a prisoner to my father, nor as a prize to the humans. I stand free." Her words echoed defiant. Elias raised his rifle beside her. His stance was unshaken. Both armies hesitated, stunned by the sight of human and princess standing together. But hesitation did not last. The first shot was fired. Energy blasts rained down. Elias and Serenia moved as one. They dove into the rocks, returning fire and striking with deadly precision. Serenia's senses guided her through the chaos, warning her of danger before it came. Elias's aim never faltered, every shot protecting her side. Together they carved a path through the encircling soldiers, refusing to bow to either banner. The battle raged, and the canyon shook with fire and steel. But above it all, one truth became clear. The princess was no longer a pawn, and the human was no longer a simple soldier. They had chosen each other, and that choice would change the war itself. The sky above the canyon was streaked with smoke and fire. Dawn had broken, but the battlefield remained alive with chaos. The echoes of war still roared, though they were now distant compared to the storm that raged in the canyon. Elias and Serenia stood side by side on a rocky ledge, overlooking the two armies. The human soldiers and the Zayari forces were caught in confusion, both hesitant to attack further. Their eyes were on the human warrior and the alien princess who had turned the tide of the battle simply by standing together. Serenia's chest heaved, but her posture was steady. She had changed. The weak princess who had once trembled in the ruins of war was gone. In her place was a warrior, sharp, fearless, and powerful beyond what either army had anticipated. Elias glanced at her. "We have to move. This standoff won't last long." She nodded, her glowing eyes scanning both sides. "I can feel them. Their fear, their hesitation. They are waiting to see what I do." "Then give them something to see," Elias said. She stepped forward, her blade catching the first sunlight of the day. Her glow, combined with the strange energy flowing in her veins, made her appear larger than life. She raised her voice clear and commanding. "I am Princess Serenia of the Zayari. I will not be used as a weapon. I will not be a pawn in your wars. Today I choose peace and freedom." Her words rang across the canyon. Soldiers froze, unsure of how to respond. Many of the humans lowered their weapons, shocked by the defiance. Many of the Zayari hesitated, unable to reconcile the sight of their princess standing boldly beside a human warrior. Elias stepped forward, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You're not alone," he said. "We stand together." Serenia looked at him, and for a moment the battlefield faded. There was no war, no orders, no enemies, only them. A bond forged in blood, trust, and shared survival. Then the first energy blast came, fired by a soldier unwilling to yield. Elias raised his rifle, firing with precise aim, dropping the attacker before more shots could be fired. Serenia moved like lightning, her blade striking down another who advanced too close. The two fought side by side, but now differently. They no longer fought for survival alone. They fought to make a statement, to show that cooperation could achieve more than conflict. As the fighting continued, more soldiers stopped attacking. They watched, unsure whether to fight or flee. The human blood in Serenia's veins, combined with her alien strength, gave her an aura that commanded attention. She moved with grace and power, protecting Elias as he moved through the chaos, taking down threats efficiently and calmly. Finally, silence fell. Only the wind and the distant cries of retreating soldiers remained. The battlefield, which had once been filled with hate and blood, was now quiet. Serenia lowered her blade, exhausted but unbroken. Elias placed a hand on her shoulder again, steadying her. "You've done it," he said softly. "No," she replied. "We've done it." Her voice was firm, but her eyes held wonder. She looked at her hands, feeling the strength flowing within her. She had been transformed not just by survival, but by the human blood that had awakened something greater. She was no longer fragile. She was a warrior, capable of leading not only her people but also shaping a new future. Elias watched her quietly. He had faced many battles, but none like this. Saving an enemy had never been part of any strategy, and yet here they were, alive, victorious, and free from the chains of expectation. The wind carried the distant sound of approaching leaders, both human and Ziyari. They would come to demand answers. But this time Serenia would not be a puppet, and Elias would not be a soldier obeying orders blindly. "Do you feel it?" she asked. "The change in me?" Elias nodded. "I see it. You're stronger than ever, and not just in power, in spirit." A faint smile crossed her face. "Then it is not just my blood. It is yours as well." Together they walked down from the ridge, their steps calm, purposeful. Soldiers on both sides watched as the princess and the human warrior approached. The tension was thick, but neither side dared attack. When they reached the center of the battlefield, Elias raised his hand slightly. "We have a message for both sides. This war does not need to continue. There is a way to survive without destruction. Listen carefully." Serenia spoke next, her voice carrying far across the field. "I have seen what humanity can give. I have felt it within me. Strength, courage, and life itself. I will no longer follow the path of blind obedience. I will lead my people differently, and I will work with humans, not against them." The words were shocking. Ziyari soldiers murmured among themselves, unsure if their princess had betrayed them, or if she had found something beyond betrayal. Truth. Human soldiers blinked, surprised by the alliance forming before them. Elias added, "We have a choice. War does not have to decide our fate. Cooperation can make us stronger than any weapon, stronger than any empire. It's up to us to try." For a long moment, silence held. Then slowly, leaders from both sides stepped forward, their expressions cautious. They saw not an enemy, but the living proof that change was possible. A human and a princess standing side by side, united in purpose. The Ziyari Emperor arrived at the edge of the battlefield, his guards behind him. He looked at his daughter with a mixture of anger and disbelief. "Serenia, what is this madness?" She held his gaze. "Father, this is not madness, it is life. I'm alive because of him, because of the human. And now I choose to protect both our people, not just one empire." The Emperor's face tightened. His pride was wounded, but he saw something he had never expected. His daughter's resolve. She was no longer a child to be guided. She was a warrior, and she was free. Elias stepped beside her. "We stand together. Humans and Ziyari can be stronger together. We can learn from each other and build something new." For the first time, the Emperor hesitated. Silence stretched across the battlefield as he considered her words. He looked at his soldiers, then at the human warriors. The choice was clear. Continued fighting could destroy everything. This path that could survive. Finally, he nodded slowly. "Very well. Let this be a new beginning. Let our people learn from this, together." A cheer rose from the human side, cautious but hopeful. Ziyari soldiers followed, their voices hesitant but filled with awe. Serenia turned to Elias. This is incredible," he smiled faintly. "We did it together. She looked at her hands, glowing faintly from the strange power still pulsing within her. I never imagined I could feel this. Alive, strong, free. Elias's hand brushed hers. You earned it. But your blood, my blood, it's proof that together, we can do what neither could alone. The sun rose fully, casting light on the battlefield. Fires burned less fiercely now, and the smoke began to clear. What was once a place of death had become a symbol of hope. Serenia and Elias stood together, not as enemy and soldier, but as partners, warriors, and symbols of a new future. The world would remember this day not as a day of war, but as the day when a human and a princess showed that courage, trust, and sacrifice could overcome even the greatest divides. And deep within Serenia, her body pulsed with the strength of two worlds, a living reminder that humanity could rise to meet any challenge. The galaxy had changed. The war had not ended, but a new dawn had begun, and this dawn was theirs.